In this episode, I'm going to tell you about why you should rest. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? My name is Michael Sahno, and welcome to the Sea and Land Fitness Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Sea and Land Fitness. So if you want to start your military endurance fitness journey, head on over to www.sandlfit, that's sandlfit.com, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that at the end of the show. All right, so what is going on? I took a little bit of time off, about a week. My wife and I just took some downtime. Had to clear things out, and I decided that would be a really, really, really great subject for this episode of the podcast. I was actually kind of struggling with what to talk about because I have so much coming up that I haven't been able to really tackle any physiology concepts. I've tackled some sports psychology concepts, but I haven't really been able to tackle any physiology concepts for you guys. But I am going to touch on a couple of them, and one of the major ones is rest. So you have to think about how you want to have your fitness journey progress through the years as you get older. Even from the beginning, rest has to be an integral component of that. So hold on, I'm going to have a sip of coffee. Peter Madeira, this is for you. So I don't know if you guys know about this, but I am, and I've spoken briefly about it before. But I'm a disabled veteran, so I have some mental health issues that I deal with. Not necessarily. I would honestly say daily, but they've become such a part of my everyday that daily doesn't. There are times when I don't even notice I'm struggling with something, or something that would seem like not that big a deal to someone else might seem like a big deal to me. And before I discuss this in another episode with this bridge, I go over to West Point. I live right across the river from it, and I have to cross this bridge. So I have to deal with the psychological component of my overall health. Not extra, but there are specific things that I have to do for my mental health that another person doesn't even need to do in their normal day-to-day stuff. Deal with anxiety. Everyone deals with anxiety. So I'm just saying my coping strategies might not be something that somebody else has to even think about. So there's and the reason I'm bringing it up is because going over to West Point, I've been doing it for the past couple of months now, has become very routine for me. And that's excellent. That's awesome. But in the beginning, it was a very large drain, not just on my head, but also on my body. So I would notice that as I was struggling with the anxiety of crossing this bridge, um, that I would feel physically drained after coming home. So I wasn't able. What does that do? Well, that makes me eat a little bit more because I have a larger energy expenditure. That also makes me And if I am eating more, I have to be conscious of what I'm putting in my body. I don't want to be, oh, I'm so anxious and making excuses that I start shoving Hostess cupcakes down my throat. Um, but I was also, kind of drained, so that I wasn't going and getting as much out of the gym as I wanted to. I would be too tired to finish the entire program that I had set forth for myself. And one of the key things that I had forgotten to do in the run up, not just to that, but also to this big program rollout and these videos that I'm doing. Because as I said, Sea and Land Fitness, my company, we're going to be putting out this fitness program for individuals who want to join the military, or get their military endurance fitness dialed in, or get back into the shape they were when they were in the military. Another sip of coffee. Hold on. So I'm being pulled in the direction of that. I'm being pulled in the direction of physical maintenance, you know, getting yoked. Being As I said, I'm being pulled in the direction of my job with my company and trying to roll out this thing, writing scripts, making plans for how we're going to shoot these videos, getting the dates set up. And I was expending all of this mental energy that was now bleeding into my physical feelings of tiredness, exhaustion. Um, that, of course, I don't know if you know this, but everything's on sliders. So that makes the anxiety that you feel go a little bit up, which is why I pushed myself to go to West Point more, so that I would be forced to be in that anxious uh, um, position, so that I would desensitize a little bit. So by going through something that I felt was traumatic, I'm actually reducing my overall anxiety in the long run. I know that sounds counterintuitive. Oh my gosh, you're raising your anxiety level to lower it? Yes. But I was missing a very large component. My rest was for shit. That's the best way to describe it. My rest cycle was garbage. It wasn't what it could be. It wasn't what it should be. Um, because I was taking rest at really, really, really weird times. And I'm not just talking about, putting your head on the pillow and going to sleep. That's one thing. And that's an important part. Good sleep actually attributes a huge amount to rest. But I was building up the pressure within myself, both mentally and physiologically, pushing myself so when I say I didn't have the energy to get the workouts done, that doesn't mean I didn't do the workouts. I did them anyways, which sometimes, I can be kind of bullheaded, and, I'm, that's where you start creeping into injury. That's where things start to hurt. That's where, when you wake up from sleep, you don't feel rested. That's when you don't recover from your workout. So a couple of things happened. Hold on. I'm in love with this coffee today. Sorry. So a couple of things happened. I started noticing that I was getting sore, really, really beat up sore. I also noticed that little things were ticking me off. I also noticed that my overall mood was becoming really shitty. I was getting really pessimistic about stuff. So I decided to pull back. I decided to just take it easy for a little while. Take a week and a half off. So my wife went on vacation from work. She took a little bit of time off, and I said, and she was going to spend it home. You know what I mean? Just spend it doing nothing, spend it hanging out. So a really interesting thing happened. I said, you know what? I'm going to do that too. I got this big thing coming up. I want to feel nice and refreshed for it. And I'm starting to feel really beat up. Starting to feel really, really sore. And I don't know if you know this. It's a really interesting kind of fact. When So I'm going to use the term desensitization again. So desensitization is basically you get used to it. Okay, and that can happen in the psychological realm and the physiological realm. So in the psychological realm, what I told you is I'm driving over that bridge over and over and over. So now the bridge is such a small part of the drive that it's a blip on my radar screen. Oh, wow. And I'm actually starting to take in the view from the bridge, which is tremendous. Um, so that's in the psychological realm. In the physiological realm, we experience it all the time. So I have a really kind of cool story with my son. So my son, he was a toddler at the time and he smashed his toe. Smashed it, smashed it, smashed it. And I said, "Hey, babe, Bob, sit up on the couch." We had this old futon at the time when he was little. I said, "Sit on the couch. I'm going to do something. It's going to hurt really bad, but it's going to feel totally better in a moment. It's going to be like magic." And he goes, "Okay." And he was terrified because he was in a lot of pain. So I grabbed his toe as hard as I could and I squeezed it. And he went, "Ah!" He screamed. And I said, "Look at me, look at me, look at me." And all of a sudden he went, "The pain's gone. Wow, how did you do that?" And I said, "It's just one of those magical things about the human body, Bob." And he was like, "Wow, okay, cool." So that actually was a great lesson for him. It taught him that, being in pain is only momentary. But sometimes the brain is a little bit smarter than that. So just because you're not experiencing the pain doesn't mean that the pain is not affecting you. So in an instance, when you stub your toe, it's a little bit of swelling that'll go away. But if you were working out like I was, like a bonehead, and you were just pushing it, pushing it, pushing it, your tendons after a while start to really, really hurt. Because you're just putting so much stress on the muscle with the amount of weights that I'm using, repetitively, you run into the risk of overuse injury. And overuse injuries, what happens is you start to not notice the throbbing anymore, but you don't feel good. People with lower back pain or knee pain know exactly what I'm talking about, where you're like, you move in a certain direction and it hurts, but overall that pain, even though it hurts more now, it never totally goes away. So there's some kind of strain, swelling, or underlying pain that you're not even registering because you feel it all the time. And what happens with that is that eventually starts to affect your mood, where you don't feel good, can't recover. And that's why it is important, incredibly important, to take time off. And another sip of coffee. Hold on. Since I've taken this time off, I actually did something else as well. So this is a physiology episode. Um so I also did something else which was great, is I am insane. And some of you are going to say, "Oh my god, you totally are." And the others are going to be like, "That's not insane. I do that all the time." So traditionally with my workouts, I love the range 5 sets of 10. Or I've let me actually clarify that. So I have convinced myself that 5 sets of 10 are the optimal range for my physiology, for my body type, for my muscle mass, and that I will only get results of 5 to 10. 5 sets of 10. So there's a lot of data on this, and it's not true. I could get the same results 3 sets of 10. I could get the same results 5 sets of 7. You know, I could get the same results 4 sets of 8. But something in my brain, I've convinced myself that 5 sets of 10 are the magic number. So I am going into a rest phase. Remember, this is a week and a half ago. So I said I'm going to take it down a notch. I'm going to back off from my work. I'm going to plug out a couple of scripts here and there. I'm going to go do a bunch of stuff. We drove up to the Vanderbilt mansion in Hyde Park. We went out to eat a lot. My wife and I. We went to the mall and walked around. We did fun stuff, and we spent the days engaging in rest, relaxation, and hanging out. I needed to take the time, and so did she. My wife's got an insane job in advertising, so it's really high level vice president stuff. So we both needed a break, and I took that break, and then also reduced my my workouts. And one of the things that I'm noticing is I'm not as sore anymore. I've lost a little bit of weight. I'm a little bit leaner. I actually was on the borderline beforehand of needing a smaller size shirt. This week and a half of reducing to 3 sets of 10, 3 days a week, um, I now have to get that smaller size shirt, which I'm pretty psyched about. It's just a little goal, pat on the back. Way to go there, Sahno. So it's in a nutshell, take some time off, get some rest, dial back a little bit on your workout. Um, what was funny is I did something that I don't know that I would have ever done before had I not conscientiously made this choice, and that is that I was doing my full workout, and I had one more thing, bench press, and I was at the gym. I have a gym at home, and but I like to go out and be out. It's good for my mental health to be in a gym, to be around people, um, to be around other like-minded creatures. So, but I had there are 2 bench press benches, and they were both taken. And it was my last exercise, total last exercise, doing back and chest. And I said, okay, no problem. Maybe I'll get it if I have time when I get home. Maybe I'll get it. Maybe I'll do it at my gym at home. And I left the gym with a an exercise on the table, which is, you got to understand, that is not me. I don't leave anything on the table. It's got to all get done. That's just how my brain works. And I did get it done because I know I probably wouldn't have been able to wouldn't have been able to sleep, but I got it done at home. I walked away from a workout and was okay with that. And that's not something that's normative for me. So um, I'm pretty psyched about that. So I guess long story short, I think I said this already. Cut it down, take it back, pull it back. Um, Make sure you're getting the rest that you need. Make sure you're decreasing the volume when you need to. Um, the minute you start feeling like shit, listen to your body. It's so easy to ignore it. And one of the things to remember, another sip of coffee. Hold on. I'm tearing this coffee up today. A lack of rest will, WILL capital letters, affect your nutrition. So, what you're going to do is you're going to be tired. Okay. I literally just read this too. Um, you're going to be tired. So, you're going to look for energy dense foods. You're going to look for carbohydrates, which are totally fine. You should be eating carbohydrates. But a lot of times, the carbohydrates that we pick are going to have another energy dense macronutrient, and that's going to be fats. All right. So a lot of those junk foods have a lot of fat. So a lot of times when I'm looking to put things into my nutrition, I don't even look at fat. I look at what is the carbohydrates and what is the protein content. Um, because you don't even have to put fats in because you're going to get them in your diet anyways. Because the American food landscape is so full of fats. Um, you want to be conscientious of not eating too many fats, but you never have to go, well, I got to make sure I put some fats in my diet. You're going to put some fats in your diet without even trying. So that's something to be aware of. But the reason I'm bringing all this up is because when you get tired, when you get worn out, and it's subconscious. You're not even aware of this. You're going to start intaking more. You're going to start eating more. And as you start eating more, you're going to be looking for things that you didn't pick to be in your nutrition. Notice I'm not saying diet. I say nutrition because a diet is just the normal thing that we eat. But I want you to be conscientious of your nutrition. Okay. So you want to make sure you're getting rest so that your metabolic needs don't increase trying to move yourself through space in a tired state. In order to do that, you need more gas. You need more food. And you're going to be looking for that food and you're going to be snacking on that food. So one of the things you want to do is you want to make sure that you are taking time off to get rest. Now, the other thing, and this is the last thing I'm going to hit on, it's the first thing that I mentioned, which is sleep. So I did another sneaky thing to try to trick myself, and so far it's worked. Um, so I have a diabetic cat, and that sounds like it's a punchline to a joke, but it's not. I have a diabetic cat, and that cat needs insulin shots twice a day. So normally what I was doing is I was giving them so she gets a shot after she eats, and we have two cats, so they both get fed at the same time, and then one cat gets a shot, and then both of them get a snack. Now, the way it was set up initially was at 11 o'clock, they would get their first meal, and then at 11 o'clock at night, they would get their second meal. But what that does is that puts me tapering on midnight, being up, and that's not good. So because what was eventually happening is I would wind up till 1 o'clock, sometimes 2 o'clock, and sometimes even 3 o'clock in the morning. Just because YouTube is so freaking awesome. But what I did was I shifted it all an hour earlier. to 10 o'clock. Now they get fed at 10 o'clock, and now they get the shot. The cat gets the shot at 10:30. And when that's 10:30 at night, I, for some reason, only wind up goofing around for about another half an hour to an hour, and I'm in bed by 11:30, at the most 12, which has been tremendous, has given me a lot more energy. My circadian rhythm, which is tied to your digestion. Circadian rhythm is your sleep cycle. Okay. When you get up, when you go to sleep. And a lot humans, our circadian rhythm is tied to the sun. So the closer I can have my circadian rhythm tied to the sun, the better. So that means, if I'm in bed at 11:30 midnight, I'm up at 8 o'clock, usually. Not a problem. But yeah, so if you can lock in that good sleep, it's going to help you out a lot. So good sleep, take some rest time, take some you time, and back off on that workout. And that should be good. Now I'm going to actually do an episode on the benefits of a minimized workout. I'm going to read some of the literature, and I'll get that together for you. All right, that's it. That's all I've got for you guys. And I feel better. I feel a lot better. So, yeah. All right. Like I said in the beginning, this episode was brought to you by Sea and Land Fitness. So head on over to www.sandlfit, that's sandlfit.com, and check out all the merch. We got hats, as you can see over the corner. We got our workout hats. We got our trucker hats, high fashion here. And we've got some new shirts. I've been talking to Champion Sportswear, and they did some knock-ups for a new shirt, and I think I'll put them up on Instagram and let you guys see them. But yeah, so head on over there, check them out, and that's also where the programs are going to be. So all right, that's all I got for you. Later, guys. Honey Badger out.